In 2017, in a small village in Egypt, an old house became infamous for being haunted. The villagers, deeply rooted in their traditions and superstitions, were terrified of the place. They believed that the house was cursed and that anyone who entered would never be the same again. The villagers often heard strange noises coming from it at night, whispers, footsteps, and sometimes even the sound of furniture being moved. It was as if the house had a life of its own, a sinister presence that thrived in the darkness. A young man named Ahmed, who loved adventures, decided to investigate the matter himself. Ahmed was known for his bravery and curiosity. He had explored many abandoned places before, but this house was different. The stories he had heard intrigued him, and he couldn't resist the challenge. On a cold night, Ahmed entered the house with a small flashlight. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the creaking of the old wooden floorboards beneath his feet. He felt a chill run down his spine, but he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. The walls were covered in dust and the air smelled of mold. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the furniture was draped in white sheets, as if the house had been abandoned for decades. Ahmed's flashlight cast long, eerie shadows that seemed to dance on the walls. As he reached the living room, he heard a faint voice, like a woman calling his name. The voice was soft and distant, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Ahmed's heart raced, but he told himself it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. He froze for a moment but convinced himself it was just his imagination. He took a deep breath and continued to explore, but the feeling of being watched never left him. Every creak and groan of the house seemed amplified in the silence, but the voice called again, closer this time. It was unmistakable now, and haunting. Ahmed's hand. A woman's voice, clear and haunting. Ahmed's hands trembled as he gripped the flashlight tighter, his mind racing with fear and confusion. Suddenly his flashlight flickered and went out, and the door behind him slowly began to close, as if someone was pulling it. Panic set in as Ahmed struggled to turn the flashlight back on, but it was no use. He was plunged into darkness. He rushed to open it, but it was stuck. He pulled and tugged with all his might, but the door wouldn't budge. It was as if an invisible force was holding it shut, trapping him inside the haunted house. Then, he heard whispers behind him. Slowly he turned around and saw a reflection in an old mirror on the wall, a pale woman with dark, hollow eyes staring at him. Her gaze was cold and unyielding, and Ahmed felt a wave of terror wash over him. Ahmed screamed and tried to run, but he felt an icy hand grip his shoulder. The touch was freezing, sending a jolt of fear through his body. He tried to shake it off, but the grip only tightened. His body started trembling, and just before he blacked out, the woman whispered in his ear, "I've come back for you." Her voice was chilling, filled with a sorrow that seemed to echo through the ages. The next morning the villagers found him unconscious outside the house. They were shocked and terrified, whispering among themselves about the curse of the haunted house. When he woke up, his face was pale, and his eyes were filled with terror. He was unable to speak, his mind haunted by the memories of that night. The villagers tried to comfort him, but nothing could erase the fear etched on his face. He never spoke about what he saw, and he never went near that house again. The once adventurous Ahmed was now a shadow of his former self, avoiding the house at all costs. But he wasn't the only one. Just weeks later, he mysteriously disappeared without a trace. The villagers were left with more questions than answers, the legend of the haunted house growing ever more sinister. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more eerie stories. Your support helps us bring more spine-tingling tales to life. Until next time, stay safe, and beware of the unknown. Remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved.